Now, if you're trying to rotate better in a downswing, you need to know this massive truth about rotation, and that there is two sides of rotation. So it's not all one thing. It's one, how open can you get at impact? So how rotated do you generally look in a downswing? Think of a Dustin Johnson. Looks very, very rotated. A lot of you out there think that is rotation in a nutshell. How open can you get? Not at all. That's not even the most important bit. Most important bit is your rate of rotation, and that is the general speed of your rotation throughout that downswing. So imagine you're a golfer who stalls going through impact. You jump stall, or maybe your just rotation really slows down. If that is you, that's the bigger problem. Because to get the good benefits of rotation, we need that rotation to be steady and constant throughout the golf swing. Some golfers, it might be faster of a rate of rotation, others it might be slower. But that's what you will need to strive for more than anything, is your rate of rotation, keeping it constant, rather than how open you're getting. So okay, let's dive into that rate of rotation more, because it is the most important aspect of rotation in the downswing. So that rate of rotation, like we said, is ultimately the speed of your rotation being constant going through the golf ball. So we want that rotation to be uninhibited going through the shot. So why it's so good? Because it maintains what we've got going through the golf ball. So let's say we've got that club face square. Let's say our club's moving on a nice shallow path going through the shot. My rotation is nice and uninhibited going through the golf ball. It's going to be maintained. I'm going to be resulting in a good shot. So that's where all the stuff you might see or players where it looks like they've got that really good angle of their wrist and you're thinking, wow, they must be holding that through to get there. Or you hear the commentators on TV, for example, when you see a player really have that good shaft lean, or let's say they have that club exit left, that commentator might say, wow, he held that angle really well. Tell you what, he didn't hold anything at all. His rate of rotation was just so nice, smooth and constant that everything just nicely got maintained through the golf shot, and it maintained those angles. So another way to understand why rate of rotation and keeping it constant through the golf ball is so good is understanding what happens when you do the opposite, when it completely slows down to the extreme, and that is stalling. So this is what stalling generally is your rate of rotation coming to a grinding halt, to where the rotation stops in your body, hands and arms come through the shot, everything gets lost with the angles. You might see a player flip, you might see this crazy roll release quite often, just complete loss of what we've been doing. Let's say if we were doing good stuff early on the downswing, it won't be maintained. So that's where it doesn't necessarily mean that a player just needs to rotate more to be able to stop that stall, because there are players that open up really early in the downswing, and now they've opened up so much, they've run out their range of motion. So what happens to their rate of rotation? It slows down. So what happens? The same thing again. Everything will stall, but the hands and arms will continue to go through. Your angles will be lost. There'll be no good compression of that shot. You'll waste all the good energy that you've just already had in that early downswing. So how do we keep this rate of rotation nice and steady going through the shot? And it's about creating the environment in your golf swing to be able to support it. Remember what I said about what rate of rotation does going through the golf ball. It maintains what you've got. So if you're a golfer who has, let's say, for example, a steep shaft, if you have a nice, smooth, steady rotation, that's gonna maintain that steep shaft. So what's your body gonna do? It's not gonna do that. It's gonna slow down the rate of rotation, probably early extend, jump stall to get the club moving through the golf ball appropriately. Let's say you've got a high left arm at the top of your swing. You start rotating down the downswing nicely, but now the club's way in front of you. You're not gonna continue with that rate of rotation nice and steady, because you're gonna chop across it. So the body is gonna slow down its rate of rotation, stall out, flip through the shot. It's not going to be very good. So that's where we need the environment. So that's having good shallowing moves. You've got to have that club shaft nice and shallow in the downswing. Massive thing. Having a decent left arm depth. So having your left arm around your shoulder plane to some extent. So around the line of your shoulders. Can be a tiny bit over, can be a tiny bit under. We need it around that way, so then the club will start on a good path. It's not going to slow down our rate of rotation. Square club face. We need this club face to be nice and square, tracing the arc of the golf swing going through the shot. Because let's say if it's open, what are we going to do? Our rate of rotation will stall because we've got to square it. What happens if it's too close to the arc? We've got to stall out, jump up, raise the hands to open the face. You'd have to do a lot to be able to make it work. Your rate of rotation would have to slow down. So make sure you've got everything in the right environment to be able to do it, because there's not necessarily a drill to really do for this, other than making sure you've got those variables in a good spot. And once they are, then really focus on a good turning feel through the shot to be able to get yourself to rotate. So getting open would help you, but you've got to make sure that you're getting things in the right place to be able to have that freedom of rotation for the swing. So I do go into this in some massive depth, and that is on my course, The Ultimate Guide to Rotation and Downswing. There is a link in the description on how to get that, and that is on the Skillest app, so where I do all my online coaching. So that'll tell you everything you need to know about rotation. So I'll tell you exactly what you need to do personally to be able to get into your golf swing, what variable or environment you could say, to be able to achieve this for you, and great drills to do pairing up with all these specific problems. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So make sure that rate of rotation is solid before you start working on getting open.